Malmstrom Air Force Base is a United States Air Force base and census-designated place in Great Falls, Cascade County, Montana, United States. It was named in honor of World War II POW Colonel Einar Axel Malmstrom. It is the home of the 341st Missile Wing of the Air Force Global Strike Command. As a census-designated place, it had a population of 3,472 at the 2010 census. Overview. Malmstrom AFB is one of 3 U.S. Air Force bases that maintains and operates the Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile. The 341st Missile Wing reports directly to 20th Air Force at F. E. Warren Air Force Base, Wyoming. It is part of Global Strike Command headquartered at Barksdale Air Force Base, Louisiana. Units: 341st Missile Wing, 341st Operations Group, 341st Security Forces Group, 341st Mission Support Group, 341st Maintenance Group, 341st Medical Group, 341st Staff Agencies, 819th Red Horse Squadron. The base's runway was closed on the 31st of December 1996 for aircraft operations. However, helicopter operations at Malmstrom continue in support of the base's missile mission. History. Einar Axel Malmstrom, originally named Great Falls Army Air Base, later Great Falls Air Force Base. The facility was renamed Malmstrom Air Force Base on 1 October 1955 in honor of Colonel Einar Axel Malmstrom. Colonel Malmstrom, shot down on his 58th combat fighter mission in World War II, became the U.S. commander of Luftwaffe Stalag Luft 1 South Compound at Bath, Germany. After his release and return to active Air Force service, he died in the crash of a T-33 Shooting Star trainer on 21 August 1954 near Great Falls Air Force Base. In the short period of his tenure as Vice Wing Commander, Colonel Malmstrom endeared himself to the local community. Saddened by the loss, the people of Great Falls began a drive to rename the base after him. World War II Malmstrom Air Force Base traces its beginnings back to 1939 when World War II broke out in Europe. Concern about the war caused the local Chamber of Commerce to contact 2 Montana Senators Burton K. Wheeler and James E. Murray and request they consider development of a military installation in Great Falls. In addition, appeals were made to the Secretary of War, Harry H. Woodring. In 1941, the Civil Aeronautics Authority provided the money for the development of the Great Falls Municipal Airport. In May 1942, construction began on an Army Air Corps base 6 miles east of Great Falls. The base was known as East Base. In November 1942, a survey team evaluated an area near the Green Mill Dance Club and Rainbow Dam Road, approximately 6 miles east of Great Falls. Great Falls, along with 10 other northern tier sparsely populated sites, was considered for a heavy bomber training base. Construction began on Great Falls Army Air Base on 8 June 1942. The base was informally known as East Base since the 7th Ferrying Group was stationed at Great Falls Municipal Airport on Gore Hill. Its mission was to establish a route between Great Falls and Ladd Field, Fairbanks, Alaska, as part of the United States Lend-Lease program that supplied the Soviet Union with aircraft and supplies needed to fight the German Army. Great Falls AAB was assigned to 2 Bomber Command, 2nd Air Force. Its initial base operating unit was the 352d Base HQ and Air Base Squadron. Airfield operations began on the 30th of November 1942 when the first B-17 Flying Fortress landed at the new base. 4 bombardment groups, the 2nd, 385th, 390th, and 401st, trained at Great Falls AAB from November 1942 to October 1943 under Army Air Force Training Command. Group headquarters and one of the group's 4 squadrons were stationed in Great Falls, with the other squadrons stationed on sub-bases at Cut Bank, Glasgow, and Lewistown, Montana. Aircraft would take off at a predetermined time, form up in squadron formation over the respective location, and later over central Montana, join up in group formation. These bombardment groups went on to participate in decisive raids over Germany as part of 8th Air Force, opening the door for Allied daylight precision bombing. Upon completion of the B-17 training program in October 1943, Great Falls Army Air Base was transferred to the Air Transport Command, and units from Gore Field were transferred to the base. The base was considerably expanded, with more buildings were constructed, including a consolidated mess, a post-exchange, a theater, and a 400-bed hospital. Air Transport Command also established aerial port facilities for passengers and cargo, as well as a flight service center. The ATC 90th Ferrying Squadron was assigned to the base, which performed operations in support of the Lend-Lease program with the Soviet Union. At Great Falls, P-39 Airacobras, C-47 Skytrains, B-25 Mitchells, and A-20 Havocs aircraft, B-25 Mitchell bombers arrived by rail and were assembled on base, along with others that were flown in by both military and women Air Force service pilots. These aircraft were later flown by U.S. pilots by way of the Northwest staging route through Canada to Fairbanks, Alaska, and transferred to Soviet pilots who in turn flew them into Siberia via the Alaskan-Siberian route. A total of 1,717,712 pounds of cargo containing aircraft parts, tools, miscellaneous equipment, explosives and medical supplies were shipped through Great Falls Army Air Base to the Soviet Union. This included one of the greatest technology transfers in the history of the world. According to Richard Rhodes, the plans for the atomic bomb, hundreds of tons of nuclear weapons materials, strategic intelligence reports, and the plans for much of the most advanced aviation, electronic, and heavy industrial technology was transferred through Gore Field and East Base in sealed diplomatic containers. Dozens, if not hundreds, of Soviet agents also entered the U.S. through Great Falls as part of the Soviet Lend-Lease delegation, and Star aircraft shipments to the Soviet Union stopped in September 1945, when World War II ended, with approximately 8,000 aircraft having been processed in a 21-month period. Following World War II, Great Falls Army Air Base played an important role in U.S. defense during the Cold War era. The base was assigned or attached to several major commands, and its assigned units performed a wide variety of missions. Military Air Transport Service. After World War II ended, Great Falls AAB assumed a support mission for military personnel assigned to Alaskan military installations. A reserve training unit was established by the Continental Air Force's 4th Air Force under the 418th Army Air Force Base unit on 10 October 1946. In September 1947, the United States Air Force became a separate service and the base's name was changed to Great Falls Air Force Base. Tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union increased dramatically when the Soviet Union closed all land travel between the Western occupation sectors of Germany and the American, French and British sectors of Berlin. the Western Allies decided to try to supply Berlin by air. On the 25th of June 1948, Operation Vittles, the strategic airlift of supplies to Berlin's 2 million inhabitants, was initiated, beginning what became known as the Berlin Airlift. Great Falls AFB played a critical role in assuring the success of this vital operation. Officials selected the base as the only replacement aircrew training site for Berlin airlift-bound C-54 Skymasters, reinforcing the United States Air Forces in Europe. Thus the 517th Air Transport Wing was activated. Using radio beacons, Great Falls AFB was transformed to resemble Tempelhof Airport in Berlin, Germany. Hundreds of pilots and flight engineers, many of whom were recalled to active duty, were qualified on the C-54 aircraft and on flight procedures to and from Berlin by practicing on-ground mock-ups and flying simulated airlift missions. Later, the 517th Air Transport Wing was redesignated the 1701st Air Transport Wing on 1 June 1948 when Air Transport Command was redesignated the Military Air Transport Service. Great Falls was assigned to the MAT-specific division. Transport units assigned to Great Falls were the 5th, 6th and 7th Air Transport Squadrons which flew C-54 Skymasters. MATs reopened the C-54 Flight Training School as the 1272 Medium Transition Training Unit in May 1950, 1 month before the Korean War began. The unit's primary mission was the routing and scheduling of flights throughout the Pacific Ocean region and in support of Allied forces in the conflict. The 1701st ATW was later replaced by the 1300th Air Base Wing. Great Falls became the temporary home of the 582nd Air Resupply and Communications Wing on 1 May 1953, which was transferred from Mountain Home AFB, Idaho. The 582d was a Special Operations Unit which focused on PSYWAR missions. It deployed from Great Falls to RAF Molesworth, United Kingdom, and set up operations as part of USAF's 3rd Air Force in February 1954. Air Defense Command Great Falls played a major aerial defense role in North American air defense mission. Although the base was not assigned to Air Defense Command, the attached 29th Air Division was activated at Great Falls AFB in early 1950, bringing with them command and control authority of fighter interceptor squadrons, an aircraft control and warning squadron, and ground observer detachments in Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, and parts of Nevada, Utah, and Colorado as part of the Air Defense Command Western Air Defense Force. The 29th Fighter Interceptor Squadron was activated in 1953 and remained at Malmstrom until 1968, initially flying F-94C Starfire and later F-101 Voodoo interceptors. Great Falls was reassigned to the Central Air Defense Force at Richards-Gettysburg Air Force Base in 1953. The 29th Air Division's area of responsibility changed to include Montana, North and South Dakota and Nebraska. The 29th supervised the training of its units, and participated in numerous training exercises. On 1 July 1961, the 29th AD was relocated to Richards-Gettysburg AFB, Missouri. By 1954, several aircraft control and warning squadrons had been formed at the base. The 903d Aircraft Control and Warning Squadron was one of them, and operated an anti-PS-1D This radar was used probably for training purposes. The 903rd AC and AMP-W Squadron subsequently relocated to Gettysburg AFS, South Dakota, in 1957, under the control of the 801st Aircraft Control and Warning Squadron. The Malmstrom AFB radar station became operational with an FPS-20 search and an FPS-6 height finder radars. A second an FPS-6 series height finder radar was added in 1960, and subsequently was upgraded to an FPS-90 set. In 1959, Malmstrom was performing air traffic control duties for the FAA and joined the semi-automatic ground environment system on 1 March 1961, the squadron being redesignated as the 801st Radar Squadron. In 1964, Malmstrom received an FPS-24 search radar, replacing the FPS-20. The 801st Radar Squadron was inactivated on 31 December 1969 due to budget reductions. However, the radar site itself rejoined the SAGE network on 30 June 1971. The FAA operated an FPS-65 search radar, and the Air Force added an FPS-90 height finder radar. This height finder radar later became an FPS-116 for the Joint Surveillance System program, then was removed. c. 1988. The Malmstrom AFB radar site was closed altogether in 1996, and after the Air Force shut down the ADCOM Z-147 site, the Federal Aviation Administration took over operation as part of the Joint Surveillance System. Z-147 was completely replaced by a new ARSR-4JSS site on Bootlegger Ridge, about 14 miles northeast of Great Falls AFB, designated by NORAD as Western Air Defense Sector Ground Equipment Facility J77A. In 1959, a SAGE data center was established at Malmstrom. The SAGE system was a network linking Air Force general surveillance radar stations into a centralized center for air defense, intended to provide early warning and response for a Soviet nuclear attack. DC-20 was initially under the Great Falls Air Defense Sector, established on 1 March 1959. GFADS was inactivated on 1 April 1966, and redesignated as the 28th Air Division. DC-20 with its ANFSQ-7 computer remained under the 28th AD until it was inactivated on 19 November 1969 and being taken over by the 24th Air Division. DC-20 remained on duty until March 1983, when technology advances allowed the Air Force to shut down many SAGE data centers. The North American Aerospace Defense Command was created in 1957. Beginning in 1959, Malmstrom was the headquarters of the Great Falls Air Defense Sector, until inactivated in 1966. In 1978, Malmstrom AFB became responsible for the 24th NORAD region, which covered the western half of the North America. This comprised 4 fighter interceptor squadrons and radar sites stretching from the Rocky Mountains, halfway across North Dakota and north to the north border of Canada. The 24th also served as the NORAD alternate command post, which remained active until 1983, when it was inactivated and replaced by the Northwest Air Defense Sector. On 1 July 1968, the F-101B equipped 29th FIS was inactivated and replaced by the F-106 Delta Dart equipped 71st Fighter Interceptor Squadron, which was reassigned from Richards Gebb or AFB when its ADC mission was eliminated. 3 years later, the 71st was redesignated as the 319th FIS, which remained on alert until 30 June 1972, when the active-duty air defense interceptor mission at Malmstrom was inactivated. Strategic Air Command. On 18 December 1953, Great Falls AFB was transferred from Military Air Transport Service to Strategic Air Command, although MATS units remained at the base for several years. SAC activated the 407th Strategic Fighter Wing at Great Falls with a mission to provide fighter escort for SAC's long-range B-36 Peacemaker. The 407th SFW was assigned to 15th Air Force, 39th Air Division and flew F-84 Thunderjets. On 21 August 1954, the 407th SFW Vice Commander, Colonel Einar Axel Malmstrom, died when his T-33 Shooting Star trainer crashed approximately 1 mile west of the Great Falls Municipal Airport. Although his tenure was short, he was well liked by the local community. It was the local civilian community that led the efforts to rename Great Falls AFB for Col. Malmstrom. On 15 June 1956, the base was officially dedicated as Malmstrom Air Force Base. With the phase-out of the B-36 from the inventory in the late 1950s, the need for fighter escorts of SAC bombers was eliminated. The new B-52 Stratofortress and B-47 Stratojet bombers flew higher and faster than the F-84 escort fighters, and instead of flying in formations, SAC's bombers flew individually to the selected targets. The 407th SFW was inactivated in 1957 and replaced by the 4061st Air Refueling Wing was activated flying KB-29J Superfortress re-engineered into aerial tankers. The 407th Air Refueling Squadron were joined by the 97th ARS and the KC-97 Stratofreighters to form the wing. The 4061st ARW flew the missions from Malmstrom AFB until July 1961. 341st Strategic Missile Wing. With the development of the three-stage, solid-fuel Minuteman I missile in the late 1950s, SAC began searching for sites to deploy this revolutionary weapon, because Malmstrom's location placed most strategic targets in the Soviet Union within range of Minuteman. The base was selected to become a command and control center for ICBMs located in central Montana. On 23 December 1959, the Air Force Ballistic Missile Committee approved the selection of Malmstrom AFB to host the first Minuteman ICBM base. A change of mission for the base occurred on 15 July 1961 when the 341st Strategic Missile Wing was reassigned to Malmstrom. The 341st was previously assigned to DISAFB, Texas, where it was designated as the 341st Bombardment Wing. With the reassignment of the 341st SMW to Malmstrom, the tankers of the 407th ARW were reassigned or retired, and the runway at the base was used by the Air Defense Command F-101 and F-106 interceptors, along with transient aircraft. Construction of the wing's first launch facility began in March 1961 and was completed in December. The 10th Strategic Missile Squadron was activated on 1 November 1961, and Alpha 01, the first launch control facility, was completed in July 1962. The first Minuteman ICBM arrived on base by rail 23 July 1962. Just 4 days after the missile's arrival, Launch Facility Alpha 09 gained the title of the first Minuteman missile site. The 12th SMS and 490th SMS activated in March and May 1962. On the 3rd of July 1963, following 28 months of construction, the wing and its 3 squadrons became operational. Each squadron controlled 50 missiles, bringing the total wing strength to 150 Minuteman I missiles. 2 years later, construction began on the 4th and final squadron, the 564th SMS. This squadron was equipped with the more modern Minuteman II missiles. On the 5th of May 1967, the 564th SMS was declared fully operational. Malmstrom's missile field was now the largest in the United States, covering 23,500 square miles. 2 years later, the 10th, 12th and 490th SMSs were also upgraded to the Minuteman II missiles, increasing the wing's capabilities to 4 missile squadrons equipped with a total of 200 Minuteman II missiles. In late 1962, missiles assigned to the 341st Wing would play a major role in the Cuban Missile Crisis. On the 26th of October at 11:16 a.m., the 10th SMS's launch facility Alpha 06 went on strategic alert after it was discovered the Soviet Union had placed nuclear missiles in Cuba to counter the threat to Moscow and most of the Soviet Union east of the Urals posed by American nuclear-armed Jupiter and Thor missiles based in Turkey. Over the next 4 days the wing placed 4 more missiles on alert, with the last missile from Alpha Flight achieving alert status on the 10th of November. The Soviets eventually removed the missiles from Cuba. In fact, the Minuteman missiles at Malmstrom were able to substitute for Jupiter and Thor missiles based in Turkey, which were removed under a secret accord, thus allowing the Soviets to remove the missiles from Cuba, and replace them with submarine-based missiles and longer-range ICBMs based on Soviet territory. The overall effect of the Cuban Missile Crisis was to greatly expand and extend the nuclear arms race, in which Malmstrom played a leading role. Throughout the Cold War era, the wing's missiles remained on alert and underwent extensive weapons systems upgrades. The 17th Defense Systems Evaluation Squadron, equipped with EB-57 Canberras, was activated in the 1970s to train NORAD air defense personnel in electronic countermeasures. In 1988, the hardened mobile launcher from the small ICBM was tested at Malmstrom AFB to verify its ability to operate in harsh winter conditions. 301st Air Refueling Wing. On the 5th of January 1988, Malmstrom gained its first SAC flying wing since the 4061st Air Refueling Wing had been inactivated in 1961. SAC's 301st Air Refueling Wing arrived from Rickenbacker AFB, Ohio, and was responsible for the operation of KC-135R Stratotankers, refueling fighter, bomber airlift, special operations and strategic reconnaissance aircraft worldwide. A major restructuring occurred in 1989 when SAC relocated the 40th Air Division to Malmstrom AFB and assigned a host of responsibilities for both the newly activated 301st ARW and the 341st Strategic Missile Wing. The 301st ARW deployed to Moon Island in the Persian Gulf during Operation Desert Storm. During this time period, the 301st flew 443 combat sorties, refueling 936 coalition aircraft, and transferring 33.5 million pounds of fuel. The 341st Strategic Missile Wing deployed security, civil engineering, services and support personnel missile in support of the action. On 14 June 1991, the 40th Air Division inactivated, returning host responsibilities back to the 341st SMW, with the 301st ARW remaining as a tenant unit. Post-Cold War era. On 1 September 1991, the 341 SMW became the 341st Missile Wing. Also in 1991, the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty was officially formalized. President Bush took all Minuteman II missiles, bombers and tankers off alert status on 27 September. In November 1991, the 12th Missile Squadron's launch facility J-03 became the first to have its missile removed in compliance with the order. It would be 3.5 years until the last Minuteman II in the Air Force inventory was removed from Kilo 11 on 10 August 1995. As Minuteman II missiles were removed, a new program called Rivet-AD was launched, modifying the 150 Minuteman II launch facilities to accommodate the newer Minuteman III, transferred from Grand Forks AFB in northeastern North Dakota. With the inactivation of SAC on 1 June 1992, Malmstrom temporarily became an Air Mobility Command base with the 341st Strategic Missile Wing as an Air Combat Command tenant unit. The 301 ARW was subsequently inactivated and replaced by the 43D Air Refueling Wing as a KC-135R unit reporting to 15th Air Force, then located at March AFB, California. The 341 SMW was redesignated as the 341st Missile Wing, reporting to ACC's 20th Air Force located at F.E. Warren Air Force Base at Cheyenne, Wyoming. Following an Air Force decision to divest ACC of all ICBM units and assets, the 341 MW was subsequently transferred to Air Force Space Command located at Peterson Air Force Base at Colorado Springs, Colorado. This mid-1993 move merged all missile and space operations under one command. In October 1997, the 341 MW, along with all other missile wings, was redesignated as the 341st Space Wing. In 1994, the 43 ARW was downgraded in status and redesignated as the 43D Air Refueling Group. In 1996, the 43 ARG and its KC-135R aircraft were transferred from Malmstrom to MacDill FB at Tampa, Florida, as part of a base realignment and closure action, merging with MacDill's 6th Air Base Wing to form the current 6th Air Mobility Wing. With the loss of its only fixed-wing flying unit, Malmstrom's runway was decommissioned as a cost-savings measure following departure of the last KC-135R aircraft in 1997. Malmstrom's air traffic control tower was leveled, the navigational aids were turned off and runway was closed and currently remains inactive. One hangar and a portion of the Malmstrom flight line remain operational for aviation purposes as heliport for Malmstrom's 40th Helicopter Squadron, and its UH-1N twin Huey helicopters supporting the 341st Space Wing's Minuteman III ICBM sites. On the 18th of May 2007 there was an incident involving the visiting Canadian Forces Aerial Demonstration Squadron, the Snowbirds. While practicing, a lap belt failed in one of the Snowbirds' aircraft, resulting in a mishap that killed the pilot of Snowbird 2. Recently, Malmstrom has been used for the site of an experimental coal-to-synthetic fuel plant for potential use in USAF aircraft. On 6 May 2008, NBC Today show personality Al Roker broadcast live from Malmstrom AFB as part of an access-granted series centered on places the American public doesn't get to see firsthand. Roker and his crew were permitted access to a missile silo, and he interviewed various squadron members about the policies and procedures should a nuclear response ever be directed by the President of the United States. On 1 July 2008, the 341st Space Wing was redesignated as the 341st Missile Wing. Major commands to which assigned 2nd Air Force, 6 July 1942, AAF Air Service Command, 15 October 1943, Air Transport Command, 1 January 1944, Military Air Transport Service, 1 June 1948, Air Aerospace Defense Command. Major tenant organizations, 1 March 1951 to 31 December 1983. Strategic Air Command, 1 February 1954 to 1 June 1992. Air Mobility Command, 1 June 1992 to 1 July 1993. Air Force Space Command, 1 July 1993 to 7 August 2009. Air Force Global Strike Command, 9 August 2009 present. Major units assigned. References for base name, major commands, major units, * base operating unit, geography. According to the United States Census Bureau, the base CDP has a total area of 5.2 square miles, all land.